have is inside. And to know that everything is always working for the highest and best. And so we say greetings to our Facebook family and other members of our virtual community that are joining us here on this beautiful Sunday, this first Sunday in March, as we begin our look at the theme for the month of March, which is play. One of my favorite subjects, one of my favorite activities is to play and to have fun. And so as we look at this together, I begin by acknowledging the month of March is set aside as Women's Month. There's been an upgrade in the name as other things have upgraded and changed. It used to be known as Women's History Month, and it is now Women's Month. So we celebrate that feminine aspect of spirit. And I would like to do a little selfless promotion. Our local Monterey Museum of Art has a very nice exhibit. I saw it a couple of days ago, and it is titled Courage with Women About Shelter. And the emphasis is on women who live without shelter, who live homeless. And it's just a very enlightening and uplifting exhibit. So I invite you, if you're in the area, to go and see that. And I think the exhibit is here through April the 23rd. So we have a little bit of time to see it. And I also invite you to engage in an activity that is local to where you are. And it could be something as simply as reading inspirational information about women and their contributions to the world at large. Participating in a women's project. It could be a shelter project. It could be a craft project. Supporting women vendors, supporting women artists. And also let's acknowledge that this coming Tuesday, March 8th, is International Women's Day. And so there are opportunities to just embrace the feminine aspect of God. And in embracing that feminine aspect of God, we also remember that in spite of not in spite of, that's not the right phraseology. In recognition of the significant accomplishments that women have made throughout the world, we're still encouraged and called forward as people of faith, as spiritual beings, to address the issues of gender and identity equity, equity in the area of employment and empowerment, and all of those other aspects that go into improving the status of women. Because as one group is elevated, the entire group is elevated. It's like the expression, one boat rises another, or that may not be the correct expression, but I think you get the idea. I have a little story to share about one of my favorite little characters, and that's little Johnny. And those of you who may currently be teachers or may have been teachers as part of your experience probably had a little Johnny, or maybe more than one little Johnny in your classroom. And so in the class, they're given an assignment to paint a picture of cows grazing in the meadow. And soon little Johnny lifts his hand that he's finished, and he shows the teacher a blank piece of paper. The teacher says, "But Johnny, you didn't paint anything on it." And he responded, "Well, the cows have eaten all the grass, and since there's no grass left, they just went away." So little Johnny presented this blank piece of paper because there was nothing there. The cows had all gone. And then as we move into the theme of play for the month of March, I offer this from Jay Barrie from Peter Pan. And he says, "Just think happy thoughts and you'll fly. Think happy thoughts and you'll fly." And so if we look at an overview for this month and this topic of play, we recognize that we have a tendency, especially as adults, to get caught up in the busyness of the world and forget to engage in the joy and the freedom, which are essential qualities and aspects of our divine selves. Connecting with the divine can sometimes seem like serious work, and some may ask, between meditation, prayer, contemplation, and acting the part of a serious spiritual person, who has time to play? And I share a little personal example of my own experience with play, and I think this is why I resonate with the word so much. As I was going through one of my many recreative processes, reinventing myself, I was considering leaving my former spiritual community. And I was just feeling called to do something differently, and I didn't know what that was. I had some ideas, and there were a couple of things that I was exploring. But as I reflected back on those, these were ideas that were presented to me, for me, by someone else, not something that originated from within my own essence. And so in my meditation time, I began to ask, what is mine to do? What is mine to be, and what is mine to do? And this was taking place shortly after my wife made her transition. So the first response was, the voice said, rest. And so I said, okay, because I was aware of how much I just went back into all of my activities and didn't allow myself time to rest and to grieve and to get adjusted to this idea of not having my beloved with me. And so after I felt that I had rested enough, I go back and I ask again, what is mine to be and to do? And the voice said, play. And I go, okay, I can do that. I can do that. And so I began to identify the ways that I just enjoyed life, and began to experiment and explore some things that I had put on a back burner, and just really enjoyed this time of play. And of course, you know, I'm waiting for this really thunderbolt directive that says, go do this, you know, this big, massive project, whatever this may have been. So I go back into meditation and I ask again, what is mine to be and what is mine to do? And after a period of silence, and what felt like a long period of silence, the voice again said, play. And so I decided to play. And out of play has emerged magnificent opportunities, one being here in Monterey and playing with each of you in spiritual community. And so if we approach play as a sacred activity, we recognize that it is absolutely necessary for our complete expression in life. Play connects us with that sense of wonder and creativity. It is healing to the body, the mind, and the heart, and it connects us with others, inspires us to be our greater yet to be. Spirit is dancing around in and through each of us all of the time, calling us to celebrate all of it, the serious and the silly. What if, at the end of the day, we were only playing Twister with God? What if, at the end of the day, we were only playing Twister with God? Twister is a board game that was produced by Milton Bradley and the Winning Moves Games of USA. And I did a little research and discovered that a predecessor to the game Twister was called Pretzel. And it was introduced in the mid-60s. And so out of Pretzel emerged a broader expansion of the game Twister. And this is how the creative intelligence works in and through each one of us. There's an idea. Someone acts on that idea. And that idea catches fire, if you will. And then someone else is inspired to tweak it a little bit here, or tweak it a little bit here, or someone else is inspired to add this little dab of excitement or interest to it. This is how God works. And so in this game of Twister, it's described as the game that ties you up in knots. And I don't know if any of you have played this game or not, or played something similar to it. But it requires physical skill, and it is played on a large plastic mat that is spread out on the floor of the ground. The mat has 6 rows of large colored circles with a different color in each row: red, yellow, green, and blue. And then there's a spinner that instructs players where to place their hands and their feet in different places on the mat. And the instructions are to do all of this without falling. And I think that is what adds to the humor and adds to the lightheartedness of playing the game. In our Declaration of Principles, Dr. Holmes writes, "We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it." And from a science of mind perspective, Spirit has created each one of us with an overflowing capacity for joy, balance, and freedom, allowing our awareness to recognize that we are playing with the divine all of the time. We connect with the divine qualities of freedom, balance, and joy that are flowing from a deep connection of heaven within. And so we release the need to struggle, and out of that release emerges in our life as we live from the perspective of play and fun and joy and this divine freedom. And there are three aspects of this that I would like to share with you this morning. The first one is getting your foundation right. The second is up close and personal. And the third is be ready to laugh. Be ready to laugh. And so the first one is getting your foundation right. Playing the game of Twister requires that we get our foundations right. And this means that we have the correct mat that is placed on a solid wooden floor, and the game is played with bare feet. And because the mat is plastic, slippery socks are not your friend in this particular game. So we identify what works and we identify what does not work in laying our foundation. And the same is true for building a deeper relationship with God. It requires us to get our spiritual foundation in order. And this means having a reasonable grasp of the basic principles of science of mind, having a reasonable grasp of the principles of science of mind. This does not mean that this does not require that we have mastery, but that we have an understanding of the spiritual principles. This understanding comes through our time of meditation and contemplation and prayer. Another aspect of the spiritual foundation is being open to the idea that spirit is more than just a proper, serious, grown-up thing. Spirit is more than just a proper, grown-up, serious thing. And then we recognize that spirit is the all that there is, including any expression of it. So if you're beginning to get the idea here, we're saying that there is no duality here. There is no separation between play, having fun, and God. Because God, spirit, this creative intelligence is actually all that there is, and everything is created out of it. In the Holmes papers, Dr. Holmes writes this: God sings all the songs, dances all the dances, paints all the pictures, creates all art, writes every book, and plays every game. God is in everything and expressing as everything at all times. And when we play Twister, it requires that we get up close and personal. And this is our second point, up close and personal. We intertwine and find ourselves up close and personal in all kinds of unexpected ways. Who hasn't dissolved into giggles when they found their face in someone else's armpit, or reaching for a right foot on the green, or in other games that you may have played that require some movement and interaction? The giggles that come out are so spontaneous and add to the levity of the process. Playing Twister with God is the same. No matter what we think will happen, we're continually intertwining in unexpected ways with the infinite spirit. Pause for a moment and think about some of the unique ways that you find yourself connecting and intertwining with spirit. Let those bring a smile to your face. Let those bring a smile to your heart. Life changes, surprises, failures, wild successes will happen. As our intuition feeds us for the next step of the entire universe, we recognize that it is spinning around us in a complementary dance, shifting us in a million tiny ways and holding us up at the same time. This is the beauty of spirit. Even though we're doing the twists and the turns and the dances and whatever it is, the universe is always lifting us up and holding us in that space of joy, beauty, and excitement. Nothing and no one knows us better than spirit. And so as we let spirit all the way in, we get to really experience it, cultivating a life of joy, making space for the play that lights us up, be it golfing or roller disco, or an evening with a really good friend. Whatever it is, when we start the game, God always joins in. Play is a sacred act. When we are playing, the essence of all creation flows freely through us. We're expressing our true nature and connecting with the very essence and the very core of our existence. Nothing is more spiritual than play itself. And in playing Twister with God, be ready to laugh. You know, we've all probably heard the expression or used it. If you want to make God laugh, create a plan. If you want to have God laugh, create a plan. The twister is going to happen. And so the question is, are we willing to embrace the play of the twister? Twister is ridiculous as a game, but no more than the joyful unfoldment of the absolutely incalculable ways in which playing Twister with God delights and surprises us. The mystery, the majesty, the delights, the surprises of playing Twister with God. Let go of the confusion that tells us that our spirituality is serious and play and laughter and joy are frivolous and unimportant. This is where I think sometimes as adults, we fall into this trap of taking life so seriously that we become sedentary, we become complacent. We let the joy just kind of go out of our lives. And then we live in this place of being static. Whereas if we are continuing to be vibrant and alive and open to the twists and turns of life, you know, let's see where this direction will go. I had fun before my wife made her transition. She was my navigator. So if we were going on a trip someplace, she would be the one that would point out, you know, where I'm at to turn and do all of this. And so after she made her transition, I recognized, oh, my navigator is no longer here. So I began to rely more and more on the GPS system on my telephone. And if I would start out in some direction, I would set the GPS, that would give me directions to go. And then what I decided to do was to just explore. So I wouldn't venture that far from where I knew I could get back to my starting point, but I began to just disengage the GPS and just get in the car and drive and just explore a new area, new territory. And of course, I had moved into a new location, so this was an opportunity to discover what were some of the points of interest where I was currently living at that time. And so as I began to just engage the GPS and disengage it and intentionally get lost, I knew it could always bring me back to my starting point. So this is one of the ways that I released the confusion and just enjoyed the space that was around me. When we make the space inside ourselves to laugh and to live in the expression of joy, we are then being our most God self. Dr. Holmes writes this in the Science of Mind textbook. It should be considered good and right to live and enjoy living. It should be considered good and right to live and enjoy living, to be well, to be happy, and to express freedom, and to be in accord with divine law and wisdom. And so leading us to our conclusion and our call to action this morning, remember, we are all playing already. The goal here is to allow the playing to remind us to experience the joy of life. We're experiencing the joy of life. So as a starting point, set your intention on playing. The point of playing is to have fun. And someone recently shared this idea in a program that I was listening to. They're currently living outside of the country and decided to take a day off from work and go play. And discovered and began to research all of the various ways that they could play in the area where, in this new country where they were living. And nothing on the tourist setup, nothing seemed to excite them or speak to their inner spirit. And so they decided to, and there was a memory that kicked in. There was a memory that kicked in that said, I am the source of my joy. I am the source of my play. I am this creative intelligence within me creates the play. It's not something that I go outside to seek. It is something that I generate from the inside. And so right where they were, they began to just engage other people that were around them and just did things, moved with the sense of inspiration rather than a planned trip, and just shared how exciting that was to experience play in that aspect. And so setting an intention to play doesn't have to be a big, elaborate ordeal. It is important to set the stage for the realization that every moment is divine. And it can be something as simple as saying, today I choose to play as a way of knowing the joy in life. Today, I choose to play as a way to know joy in life. I am choosing this today. Remember not to make your fun or joy dependent on someone else, as I've shared earlier. It's okay if others choose to come along and be involved if they wish to. But don't give up the practice of play because you don't have someone to play with. And perhaps because I tend to be more of an introvert, I have a great time with myself. And I recognize that there are also personalities that enjoy the engagement of other people and other energy. Whatever your particular style is, don't allow that to be a deterrent. Engage it, practice it, embrace it, expand on it. And so this week, with wonder, joy, and play in your heart, explore the ways in which you let a God of joy into your life. Embrace this God of joy in your life. Seek ways to play, to giggle, to be giddy, to have fun. Just put it all out on the floor. Think of all of the unimaginable beauty that there is in life. And we enjoy this by playing Twister with God. You're never too old to pursue your passion. You're never too old to pursue your passion. And I add to that, don't let someone dampen your pursuit of your passion by calling forward a numerical number that may be assigned to you in terms of your birth appearance on the planet. You're never too old. Oh, and I will add, you're never too young to pursue your passion. And so something new I'm going to introduce for the month of March, rather than the 3 questions that I've been offering for us to contemplate, I'm going to offer a practical personal application. And I've asked our tech team to drop this in the comments section for our Zoom community, into the chat window for our Zoom community, and to the comments section on our Facebook page for our members to look at. And so the personal practice application for this week is commit to spending time doing that playful thing you really enjoy, be it Frisbee, golf, interpretive dance, or whatever it is your heart desires. But commit to spend time this week engaging in an activity that brings joy and lightheartedness, a lightness of being to your heart. And our affirmation for this week, I am having fun with the divine. And so let us say that together. I am having fun with the divine. And so embracing this idea of having fun with the divine, I invite you to join with me in prayer. Recognizing the exciting and awesome and playful presence of spirit that infuses everything, everywhere, at all times. The one life, the one power, the one presence. And how good it is to know that I am an individualized expression of this playfulness, of this lightheartedness, of this incredible way of being at play with life. And as this is true for me, I embrace it as the truth for each one, knowing that each one is an individualized expression of the one spirit. And each one has the opportunity to ignite the playfulness that is in their very essence, as a part of their very being. And so I speak my word, beginning in gratitude for this marvelous life and everything that it has to offer. The highs, the lows, the midpoints, the sub-lows, the plus highs, all of the totality of life and the experiences are all designed to bring us and connect us and to remind us that we are all one with spirit. Living in this divine moment, there is the opportunity to set an intention to be at play with God, to play Twister with God, or to play any other game that brings joy and excitement and a smile to your face. And playing a game may look like walking through nature and looking at the trees and maybe identifying the shapes of noticing the different shapes of the leaves on the trees. It may mean going to an art museum and enjoying the featured exhibit or the featured exhibits, or perhaps a standing exhibit that has brought lightness and lightheartedness, and there are objects within that exhibit that you're choosing to go back and see again, to relive that experience of lightness. Perhaps it is taking a trip, maybe just a day trip, a day drive, a leisurely day drive. Or perhaps it is watching your favorite movie that brings laughter and joy and lightness. Whatever it is that brings joy and lightness, engage in that. For this is the true nature that I believe is the essence of God revealing itself in and as and through each one. And so I bless our time for play. I bless all of the expressions of play that evolves out of that. I bless communities and individuals that are gathering in the name of the one wherever they are, experiencing the joy and excitement of the awareness of the one life and the one power, recognizing that within each culture, there is an aspect of play, there's an element of lightheartedness that brings about laughter and fun and joy that lifts the spirit, that lifts the heart. I speak a word of blessing for those who are experiencing transitions in their lives, however that transition is showing up. The transition is the movement through the veil of a loved one or beloved into the next expression of life. Yes, recognize and acknowledge the sadness. Recognize the absence of the physical presence of that loved one. And yet, at the same time, allow the memories of the fun times to emerge and to lift and to be a part of the experience of the transition. Other transitions, they may include right and perfect housing, right and perfect livelihood that brings about the resources to enjoy life to its fullest, to engage in play, to just be the expression of the divine. I know and I affirm and I declare that all of this is answered in an affirmative yes by the universe. And so we place our order into the universe. There is a spiritual teacher that referred to the universe as the big order taker in the sky. And so we make our request known. It's like placing an order for food. And someone writes out the order and sends it into the kitchen, and the food is prepared. And then it is delivered to us in final form. And this is how I'm allowing my imagination this morning to see how God says yes to our request. We make the order. God gathers all of the elements that are required for the fulfillment of the order and then delivers it to us. And in that delivery, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so from this place of deep, deep gratitude, I release this prayer, I release this word, I release this talk, I release the activities of this service into that universal mind, which says yes, just allowing it to be so. I invite you to affirm it with me as we say it together. And so it is. And just a reminder, as practitioners and ministers, it is our divine opportunity to play with you through prayer and to acknowledge the gifts of prayer that are available to all of us. And so I invite you to visit our website for our non-local community and connect with a minister or a licensed practitioner. Our contact information is on the website. And we also offer the services of our World Ministry of Prayer, our Centers for Spiritual Living World Ministry of Prayer. There is an online form that you may complete. And we also partner with the spiritual communities of Unity Worldwide, and offer the services of Silent Unity, their prayer. So to ensure the confidentiality of your prayer request, if there's something that you don't feel you can share or you're hesitant to share with someone in your own community, there are other alternatives. So never miss out on the opportunity to engage in prayer, to invite someone to pray with you and to pray for you, both in your joy and in your sorrow, recognizing that God says yes to all of our experiences. And now it is our opportunity to participate in the flow of the universe known as physical abundance, financial coins, and more than financial coins. We engage in the flow of circulation. And so we have an affirmation of abundance that I invite us to say together at this point. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so for those of you who are here in the sanctuary, we have a donation box on our hospitality table. We invite you to take advantage of that. And for those of you who are joining us online, we have a variety of ways to support the center, and we appreciate your gifts and your donations. You may mail them in, you may text to give, you may also donate online. And so in deep, deep gratitude, we appreciate the way that you love and continue to support our spiritual community that allows us to expand the programs that we're offering. And we have some exciting things in the pipeline for the remainder of this year. And so we invite you to stay tuned for those and to continue to support the expansion and growth of our spiritual community. And for our Facebook family and our virtual viewers who are leaving at this point, we invite you to return next week, where we will continue to explore this idea of play for the month of March. And our talk will be a spoonful of humor is the medicine. A spoonful of humor is the medicine. And so to our Facebook family and other members of our virtual community, we say thank you. We love you. God bless you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you the next time you tune in.